Hi everyone, Matt Berner here, taking a look at the DRF Bets race of the day for Friday, April the 20th, race number 9 at Keeneland. It's the Grade 3 Doubledogdare for older fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th on the main track. Before we dive into the field, I'd encourage you to head over to DRF Bets, take a look at the latest promo offer that there is. DRF.com/join is the address, the promo code is TV150. You'll get a $150 sign-up bonus. Let's take a look at the field of 13 fillies and mares going the mile and a 16th distance on the main track in the Grade 3 Doubledogdare. You can go a number of ways in this race. I'd encourage you also to head over to the Race of the Day page on DRF.com. You can download free formulator past performances. We take a look at this field in post position order. The number 1 is Song of Spring from Neil Howard, a winner of her most recent start that was back in the middle of February down at the fairgrounds. As a whole, that race hasn't come back particularly strong. The runner-up, Promise of Spring, is another filly that she'll be facing here in this race on Friday. She came back and earned an 82 in her next start. Third-place finisher, Wicked Lick, a 72. And then the fourth and fifth-place finishers, 77 and 78 buyers, respectively. We do have a positive formulator fact, though, for Neil Howard. Over the past 3 years, dirt winner last out, 31 to 60-day layoff in route races, 4 for 14, 12 of them in the money. With a 257 ROI, you get Joel Rosario, who's in good form down there in Lexington. This could be an interesting horse. I don't know that she's necessarily a likely win contender, but maybe she's a horse. Again, you see that 12 out of 14 in the money number for Neil Howard. Maybe she's one that can round out your trifecta or your superfecta, the number 1 Song of Spring. The number 2 is Minds and Magic for Vicky Oliver. I've always been a fan of this horse. She's been a little bit disappointing in certain instances where I'd expect her to run a little bit better than she did. But at the same time, she has shown in the past that she can run fast races, and you can make the case that this is probably the sort of class level that she belongs at. The question now becomes the distance, because it seems like for the majority of her career, with the exception of 2 instances, they've kept her at 1 turn, 7/8 of a mile, a 1-turn mile. They tried going 2 turns on 2 different occasions, I should say, once at Indiana Grand and once at Del Mar on the turf. Neither of them went particularly well. She did finish 3rd in that Indiana Oaks, but there's a part of me that wonders, is this just trying to take a shot in a race where maybe it's not loaded with superstars? She's run well enough at Keeneland in the past. I don't love her chances stretching out here, but again, you've got to respect her from a class standpoint and also from a speed figure standpoint. She's not far off some of the better ones. Number 3, Girl Talk for Dallas Stewart. First time out going for Dallas Stewart. Based on the overall body of work from what this filly has done when she was with Kieran McLaughlin, she's in a very, very difficult spot. Her most recent run was in the ladies handicap at Aqueduct, and that race has come back just absolutely dreadful. She finished 2nd by a neck, but the winner just got out, came back to earn a 32 in her next start. The 3rd-place finisher, Sharini, came back to earn a 26. And then you had other buyers, including 53s, 59s, and an 83, but that came on turf. Based on what she has done in New York, I don't like her chances here in this race. The number 3, Girl Talk. The number 4 is Promise of Spring. Promise of Spring goes out for Steve Margolis, a winner last time out, but I made mention when we talked about the top horse, the number 1 horse, Song of Spring. No match for her 2 starts back. When Margolis gets them going, they usually stay good. She's on an upward trajectory as far as the buyers are concerned, so perhaps she's coming up on a peak effort. She's going to need a peak effort, and she's also going to be forwardly placed. It's going to be very interesting to see how everything shakes out from a pace standpoint. Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector to see what they think this entire thing is going to look like. And you can see that they have the number 12, Tappa, 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 out on the front end. You can see that red bar, meaning they think it's going to be a fast pace, possibly helping set things up for horses coming from off of it. So it'll be very interesting to see ultimately where a horse like Promise of Spring ends up positioning herself. Is she going to be pushing the pace, breaking toward the inside, or is she going to be coming from a few lengths off of it? We'll find out. Again, you can see that pace projector right there, 12.76. Number 5 is Ministry. This is an Arkansas bred coming on the heels of an Arkansas bred victory down at Oaklawn on April the 4th. First time stretching out to 2 turns. Thought it was a good effort. Slight late with the lead change. Took a pretty significant bump out of the gate. The big concern with a horse like this is she's facing the best horses of her life on Friday afternoon, and from a speed figure standpoint, she is on the light side. She's never cracked 80 in her career. That was a career best effort most recently, a 78, but I like the way that she finished, and if you think that this pace does heat up and she can sit 3 or 4 lengths off of it, perhaps she's another one at a big number that can come with a little bit of a run. Number 6 is Apology Not Accepted for Brendan Walsh. Most recently in that Latonia that was on synthetic track out at Turfway Park. First time she tried that, it didn't run poorly, but it wasn't a spectacular effort. You see, she was forward, and Timeform US had those early fractions color-coded blue, meaning they should have been favoring horses that were forwardly placed. She just faded down the lane. It wasn't a particularly strong effort, but it wasn't a disaster. And you have had some good efforts coming out of that race. The runner-up came back to earn an 83 on turf. And then the 11th place finisher came back to earn an 83 on dirt at Keeneland. And we've seen in the past it's a little bit of an interesting angle. The horses going from Turfway Park over to the dirt at Keeneland. I think apology not accepted. The tough thing for her is I believe all 4 of her lifetime starts, or all 4 of her victories in her career, they've all come in gate-to-wire fashion. I know she made up a little bit of ground in that most recent race when she was pressing, but then she faded down the lane. I don't think she has enough speed to make the front here, and if she doesn't make the front, I don't know if I love her chances in here. That's apology not accepted for Brendan Walsh. The number 7 is Jenda's Agenda, another horse that figures to feature prominently in the pace, and again, the pace projector has her sitting in second off of a fast early pace by Tappa Tappa Tappa. Florent Giroux for Larry Jones. This horse, all of her victories have come in gate-to-wire fashion. I think she's a nice horse. The problem I have is she debuted last year in 2017 as a 3-year-old at the Fairgrounds, going 6 furlongs. Then she stretched out 2 races, a couple of victories. She was perfect 3 for 3. But she's really never had to go fast early on. Many of these fractions that she's been able to set out there have been moderate at best, some of them even slow. And I just wonder, how is she going to adapt to a faster pace early on? For what it's worth, that race that she won most recently at Oaklawn on St. Patrick's Day has come back quite good. Torrent, the runner-up, came back to earn an 87 by her in the next start. Beach Flower, the 3rd-place finisher, came back to earn an 84. And the 5th-place finisher came back to earn a 74. So she's been keeping good company from a speed figure standpoint. The question for a filly like this, how is she going to adapt to this pace scenario, which looks like it could be a spirited one early? I think the number 8, Jewel Lorette, is a very, very interesting horse going out for Ben Colebrook. Most recently, faded down the lane in that Latonia. 2 starts back, really just a very poor effort. Bet down a 6-5 favorite at Laurel Park in that little $100,000 stakes race and never threatened at any point. If you can forgive either one of those last 2 races, then all of a sudden you're left with a horse that is in very, very good form. A nice victory at Churchill Downs going a 1-turn mile. A nice victory over Sloppy Sealed Track at Keeneland on October the 8th. If you think that she can get back to one of those 2 races, she's a major, major player in here. And there's also a very positive formulator fact for the trainer Ben Colebrook. Over the past 5 years, dirt second after the layoff at Keeneland. 5 for 15, 8 in the money with a 424 ROI. Formulator, you can go in and you can really get into the weeds. If you really want to tweak it and add another filter, if you look at Colebrook's runners that go off at 10-1 or less with all of those other filters incorporated, all of a sudden it goes from 5 for 15 with 8 in the money to 5 for 8 with 6 in the money with a 795 ROI. I think this horse, Jewel Lorette, is very, very interesting. And also, go back to that Ellis Park race in August of last year. I understand the figure did not come back fast, but I love the fact that she came from 2 or 3 off of it. So if this pace does develop, she can sit and come with a run. The question is, do you think that she can get back to the form that she showed 3 and 4 starts back? The number 9 in here is Valadorna, likely the horse that they're all going to need to beat. Going out from Mark Casse. Casse off to an uncharacteristically slow start at Keeneland. As this is being recorded, he's 1 for 30, but he has had 10 second and 3rd place finishes. Brian Hernandez Jr. retains the mount. She is the one getting the most significant class relief of anyone in this field, and she is the class of the field. She exits the Houston Ladies Classic. She was bet down to 7-2 that day. And unfortunately for her, the way that race played out, the last move was the winning move, and she was up pushing the pace throughout. So I don't want to hold that against her. The question is, once she gets away from the fairgrounds, she doesn't look nearly as spectacular as she does some of the other places. So it's just one of those things. I'm going to be very curious at what should be a short number. Is she the kind of favorite that you want to just put all your eggs into that basket on Friday afternoon in a race that seems like it's pretty wide open? She doesn't have any major edge on anybody else in this field. And combining the slow start for the Casse barn with this not-so-positive formulator fact for Casse, past 5 years, dirt 61 to 180 day layoffs, graded stakes 2 for 28 with a 40-cent ROI. At a short number, I respect her. I think she's going to run well. At a short price, I don't necessarily love her. I'm going to take a little bit of a stand against the number 9, Valadorna. Number 10 is Not Now Carolyn, coming in for Keith DeSormo, coming from the West Coast. Gary Stevens has the ride. She is a nice horse out in Southern California. She just shows up. She runs her race. The problem is she's 1 for 10. That only victory came in gate-to-wire fashion. She's usually forwardly placed. I think, if anything, she just adds to this pace scenario early on. She's a little bit slow on figs, but there's no reason to think that she can't take a step forward. Keith DeSormo is a very shrewd trainer, and when he makes a move like this, I think it's always something to take note of, but I don't love her overall in a race like this on Friday. The number 11 is Well Humored for Arnaud Delacour. This is going to be a horse many people are going to be looking at as a logical contender, myself included. I think she makes a lot of sense. She has the highest last out buyer in the field with a 93. Jose Ortiz retains the mount. The only thing that I'm going to throw sort of up there for caution, that Wayward Lass, when she won and defeated Tapa, that 93 buyer, it has not necessarily, the form of the Wayward Lass doesn't make that 93 sort of stand up. I hope that makes some sense. For what it's worth, Tapa came back and earned a 76 in her next start. The third place finisher, Sweet Legacy, came back to earn a 75. The fourth and fifth place finishers came back to earn 70 and 80 buyers, both of those on turf. So what I'm saying is the difference here, and I understand Tapa was 4.5 clear of the third place finisher in the Wayward Lass, but so far the buyers have not necessarily stacked up as they've come out of that Wayward Lass. If you think that she can still win with a regression, then she's obviously a contender. And based on what everyone else has done, she can certainly win with a little bit of a regression. But if she comes back to an 85, it's not as though she has some sort of a giant edge. And I think she's going to get bet in here. I think she could be the second choice or vying for favoritism with Valadorna. I respect her, but another one at a shorter number in a wide open race, I don't want to take anything too short. So little stand against the number 11, Well Humored as far as the win end is concerned in this double dog dare. The 12 is Tapa. We know what her game is. She likes to show speed. That effort 3 starts back. I kind of feel like that Wayward Lass, the fig was sort of arrived at because of that run 3 starts back where she earned that 102. But if you draw a line through the 102 and you draw a line through the Wayward Lass, Tapa is a mid-70 to like an 80 kind of buyer horse. Those two races, the 102 and the 92, those are the outliers, which makes me, again, wonder about that well-humored number. Maybe it's a little bit lighter or should be a little bit lighter than what it is. Tapa, another horse. If you think that she can get out there and perhaps the pace doesn't develop the way that the pace projector suggests, maybe she can get brave on the front end. Don't love her chances. And the number 13 to round out this field is Someday Soon. Someday Soon is a nice horse. She's honest. She's 4 of 13 lifetime. You see that she shows up more often than not, 9 times in the money from 13 lifetime starts. That field that she ran against at Oaklawn Park on March 24th, not a bad field. She was no match for Doro Danza, but the third place finisher earned a 75 in the next start. Fourth and fifth place finishers were both next out winners with 79 and 76 buyers respectively. So this is an interesting horse. She just has a brutal outside post position, and she would really appreciate things heating up front. Let's get to my pick here in the Grade 3 Double Dog Dare, the Friday DRF Bets race of the day. I'm going to go with the number 5 in here, Ministry. She was good to me in that most recent start. I know she was even money, but I picked her. That was a race of the day that we had just a few weeks back at Oaklawn. And I think there are other horses that make more sense. Surely, Valadorna and Well Humored, and you can make a case for a couple other fillies as well. Agenda's Agenda. But none of them have overwhelming edges on this field, and at shorter numbers, whenever I get a race like this, if I don't love any of the shorter numbers, I want to take a shot with a horse that I think there might be some upside. Perhaps we haven't seen the best of them yet. I think that fits the bill, the number 5 Ministry here. I'm going to go with her in the Friday DRF Bets race of the day. Again, I would encourage you to head on over to DRF Bets, take a look at this, drf.com/join. Use the promo code TV150. You'll get a $150 sign-up bonus. Again, drf.com/join. Promo code is TV150. Scheduled post time for the DRF Bets race of the day on Friday, the 9th at Keeneland. The Grade 3 Double Dog Dare is 5:30 Eastern. Good luck.